This is my 1979 Ford Mustang. Years ago, I bought this with the intent to build, and I did to some extent.
Look at this thing. Oh my God.
The Mustang started with a 302 V8 Explorer motor, and after that promptly ate itself alive, I needed a new engine, so my 88 Town Car donated its 304 cubic inch turbo-ready 0-mile engine, and once that was in, I drove it for a while.
That's gonna be the bee's knees.
And the true level of my developing skill reared its ugly face, showing me my own shortcomings in the form of mismatched parts, missing safety equipment, and yeah, even a brake line that somehow I'd twisted into a loop. I'm gonna fix that today, and I won't be happy until I'm at least driving this beast safely through my neighborhood.
Ash, do you have a fire extinguisher in case anything falls? Got it. This is underneath of a car that I built on the floor. Let's see. All right. Got a Black Widows. All right. I'm terrified because this is the heavy end, so maybe I'll start at the other side, huh? I gotta be honest, I'm not like insanely disappointed with these. Like, some of them are too hot and too cold and whatnot, but yeah, look at that. Look at me go. All right, dude, I did a good job on these welds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, those are not like bad at all. I was really trying, and I was scared. Like over here, oh, there's a bug in the web over here. This is an active predatory situation, but yeah, over there, I think I did it too cool, so I just turned up the heat and dumped on more. And then, okay, so here, this is the stuff that we're looking for. Look at that. That is not supposed to be like that. How that got like that, I have no earthly idea. I was the one who installed it, but I didn't make it like that, so Ashley must have touched this. Looks like we have a little bit of seeping up here, so we'll just have to check the torque spec. Like I used some RTV to mark the zero so I could time this. All right, we got some stuff to manage, but it's not all that. This car is a riot. This car is crazy. 287 wheel horsepower, and this car probably weighs, I mean, the way it goes up on the lift, it makes me think it's more than the Sentra. So, I mean, the Sentra is probably what, 23 to 25. So this has got to be what, 25 to 27, 28, which is still heavy in the class of lightweight. So all right, so I've got a mechanic's notepad here. Just gonna do a quick run through and look at all the things that need to be done, make a list, and then we'll just work down. We're probably gonna have to go to the hardware store. There's a couple nuts and bolts that are missing. Once we took it and looked at it, we realized that we've got to do all of these things, so I wrote them down on my trusty piece of cardboard, and it's time to jump into it. So this is why you keep a bucket of all your old bolts, because this is the bolt that came out of that transmission mount back there. And I found this bolt right here. Now you think, wow, they look pretty close. Same thread, right? And if you actually look on the back of these, they have the same actual like manufacturing label on them. So it says 8.8 JH on both of them. Look at that. Crazy. So I probably got this bolt or found it in my driveway at some point, tossed it in here because this is my bucket of American bolts, non-metric, right? And now I have an exact perfect match for over there. Not so fast. That bolt fell out because the hole in the transmission it's supposed to go into is stripped. Lucky me. Well, let's go ahead and try and tap it and see if that helps. Oxygen sensor kind of in the way of where we need to be, so we just got to go in from the side here. Just Just a little bit. Yeah. Out of time.
Lucky me, another stripped bolt. Let's go ahead and remove this stud so we can take it to the hardware store, match it up to the correct nut, then we'll go ahead and replace both sides.
Go ahead and snip the excess off there.
And while I'm at it, I noticed the oxygen sensor wiring was just kind of dangling about. I got these special cable ties from a friend, so I thought I might as well just stab this girl in here. We'll be hot to go.
Oh yeah, that's exactly how it's supposed to be. Strap remove. Alright, so I can't find my spline key, but I did find this spline key, which is heart-shaped. Cool. Doesn't help right now though, so we're doing all of this from behind, which, you know, good way to be, but our cotter pin over here. So the cotter pin, that'll be easy. Let's get that. Let's knock this one out. Will it work? Yeah. Do I like that it could almost just pull out by itself? No. So rotate it around. Cool. All right, that's safe.
This car is technically a 1979, so it had a little bit of a weird e-brake system where it just used cables and pulleys. We've upgraded to the SN95 style that uses cables and sleeves. There's not really a place to mount these, so we'll make some by creatively applying some hose clamps.
The Mustang is down. I had to order a few things: shifter boot cover and a master cylinder. This master cylinder is too big, so you actually get much less pedal travel. And with the pedal traveling less far, you end up with less leverage, and you have to push really hard on the brake pedal to do anything with it. In fact, I use the handbrake in this quite often when I'm driving it. It's time to fix that. So, ordered those two things. They should be here later tonight. I'll fix them tomorrow, but right now, I'm fixing the alignment.
When you're performing an alignment on an aftermarket car like this, you'll want to go ahead and loosen the camber caster plates and get your caster and camber set before you adjust anything down by the spindle. This mounting point can affect your caster and camber gain, and you don't want that to be off once you've set all of your other settings. So now we're going to go under the car and adjust the tie rods. We'll start that by
Get this locking nut unlocked.
Once you've got that nut loose, you can go ahead and turn the inner tie rod, and that's going to spin inside the outer tie rod. And what that'll do if you tighten it is bring the front of the wheel inward. If you loosen it, it'll bring the front of the wheel outward. It's pretty simple. These are alignment plates. You can buy them on Amazon for pretty cheap. You just use a measuring tape front and rear to check your toe. Let's take a look at where we're at.
All right, so now we're towed in. We basically switched spots. We're 71 on the back, 70 and a half on the front. So three-quarters in the front. So a tiny bit of toe out. Fine with me.
Replacing the master cylinder is pretty easy if you know what you're doing. First, you'll start by draining the fluid out of the master cylinder using a syringe. These are pretty cheap at any tool store, so I recommend getting one. Now we've got our master cylinder here on the post to my carport. You can use a bench. It's called bench bleeding. Basically, we're just going to shove this ratchet extension into the master cylinder. That'll pump through these lines, dump back into the reservoir, and eventually get all the bubbles out.
All right. Face. Oh. This is a bad situation. Can you get me some paper towel up there? All right. I did get blasted in the face pretty good. Happy about this. All right.
Now that our master cylinder is full of fluid and our eyes aren't, we're going to go ahead and remove the master cylinder finally. We'll start by disconnecting the lines and then sliding the master cylinder off of the posts we've already removed the nut from. We'll reinstall our new master cylinder, and then as we remove the bleeder lines, we'll add our lines right in place. We want to make sure we lose as little fluid as possible here. If we're lucky, we won't have to bleed the entire system. Make sure you top it off, and this car runs on an electronic brake pump, so we can just flip the switch and double check how it feels. Wow, I think we made it without bleeding.
Master cylinder.
Now that that's taken care of, we need to work on something that, well, I haven't been able to work on for quite a while. The bumper for this. This car didn't have one when I got it, and I recently sourced this fiberglass bumper. We clean it up, throw the front end back on, and now we can crash into things in true Mustang fashion.
This is a fender liner. It goes in there and stops water from spraying up all over that fuse box. No bueno. So, because this guy's got these rusty, crusty little clips on here, I went on Amazon and decided, well, I don't like these as much as I like these. So hopefully we can make these work. The screw holes look like they're about the same. In fact, I bet the screws would just screw into them, but these are pretty crusty. So let's go ahead and see if this is something that's gonna work. All right, okay.
And now we'll easily install the fender liner into its factory location.
Of all the money that e'er I spent it in good company, and of all the harm that e'er I've done, alas, it was to none but me. And all I've done for want of wit to memory I can't recall.
Okay, that literally took forever, but we finally found the spline key, we were able to get the wheel off, and now we can address this twirly whirl of a brake hose we got going on here. This should be pretty simple. We don't want to undo this lower one because the whole caliper is going to drain out, so we'll focus on the top guy, we'll loosen it just enough to rotate it around, and hopefully we don't lose any brake fluid and we still don't have to bleed this bad girl. We're almost there. I cannot wait to drive this thing. Hey, turn on the music!